My name is Tom Nash, and I don't show off Lambos or Ferraris or mansions. I don't sell you dreams. I don't sell you stock picks. I'm here to help you turn $10,000 to $1 million with a proven method that anyone, literally anyone at any skill level can use right now with zero gambling, zero stress, zero work, absolutely no skills required. This is a proven method that anyone can use. By definition, if what I'm saying right now is true, this would be the best investing opportunity of your life, which you don't want to miss. And I'm going to give it away right now for free. There is no paywall. So don't click nothing, don't smash nothing, don't buy nothing, just pay attention. Now let's get started. I'm going to show you something very interesting. Now, I don't know how many of you ever visited a casino. I happened to do it once, and I was actually up quite a lot playing blackjack, got lucky, and lost everything on the way out on the roulette table. Actually, this thing hit 0 or 0 3 times in a row. The odds were insane, but then as I was leaving with the walk of shame to my rental car, I was thinking to myself, I'm really curious about the statistics behind this business. How the hell did I just lose all my money? And then I started doing research, and I realized that the edge the casino has over the gamblers is actually quite minuscule. In fact, the roulette table is only about 6.25% in favor of the casino, basically making it a slight edge above 50%. But on the other hand, when I'm thinking about it, I know that casinos are extremely profitable. That is one of the most lucrative business in the world. They do make some money off of food and other stuff and hotels, but like 80% of the profits of casinos come from gambling, not the hotels, not the other stuff. The other stuff are loss leaders. So if the edge is so small at 6%, some games are higher, some games are lower, but the edge is always minuscule. How in the world do casinos make so much money consistently every single year? Now, over the past 100 years, casinos have never been unprofitable, right? And the answer is quite simple. The answer is that casinos with this little edge, they con the system. They cheat legally you, the gamblers. Not saying that doing anything illegal, that's not the point, but they have figured out that this thing is a cheat code if you apply it in a certain way. And that's exactly the cheat code I'm going to show you in the investing world. The same things casinos do to make a shit ton of money, excuse my French, you can use in investing right now to be the casino and let everybody else be the gamblers. That is the cheat code I'm going to show you today. Now, if you think you know what I'm talking about, you don't. Trust me, you want to hear this because this goes way deeper than everything you've heard. If you read a lecture, if you read a book, I don't know if you can read a lecture, but you know what I mean. Trust me, this goes way deeper. Now, I may not be the best at English, since it's not my first language, but I do know numbers. And numbers are the key here. So let's take a look at this thing right here, right? Now, let's look at a 54% chance to win. Let's assume that we have a rigged die, right? And we're playing dice. And we're going to win 54% of the times, giving us a little 4% edge, actually smaller than the casino we just showed you, right? So with a 4% edge, I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to win 54% of the time. Pretty much a coin toss, right? 50-50, right? But if I increase the number of attempts to 350, I'm going to win 70 to 80% of the time. If I'm going to increase the number of attempts tenfold to 3,500, that 54% turns to 94%. Basically, the system that casinos use every single day for 100 years is small edge plus many attempts equals lots and lots of money. If you take a small edge and you repeat it endlessly, you're going to eventually go to 94%. And actually, I'm going to show you, you can get to 100% theoretically, okay? I'm going to show you in a second. Let's flip the page here. I'm sure a lot of you are curious by this point, but I'm trusting that you will not get ahead of this and just stay with me here because this needs to be built layer upon layer. So this is the foundation. I need you to pay attention. Look, So why did I choose 54%? Because in the example I showed you, we had 6%. Now I'm showing you 4%. Why did I change the number so slightly? Was it an accident? Was it a mistake? No, that was by design. I'll show you. So check this out. The 6% edge I showed you from the casino resembles what's actually going on in the market. Over the past 100 years, if you take a look at every single day in the stock market, you're going to find out that 54% of days in the stocks is actually in the green, and 46% of days are in the red. So pretty much when you pick a certain day in the stock market, you have a 50-50 odd of getting a green or a red day with a very, very, very slight edge towards green, a 54% chance. But here is where the casino cheat code comes into play. And it's actually not the only one. There are two cheat codes which you can actually use one on top of each other to make even more money. So I'm going to show you that in a second. So let's flip the page here. Okay. So if we look at this little small edge of just 4%, okay? On the daily, if I'm a day trader, I'm playing a game where I got 54% chances of winning. It's a very difficult game to play. I mean, I can win a few times for sure, but this is nothing that I can do consistently to just make a lot of money, because at a 54% chance, I'm going to be losing a lot of money as well. If I'm a medium-term trader, which means that I'm actually swing trading at a horizon of about 12 months, I'm holding for about 12 months on average, that means that my chances of winning go all the way up to 70%. Remember, you roll the dice. If it has a slight edge, the chances with more repetitions go up. That's actually 350 repetitions, 365 if you're accurate, right? So you're up to 70%. If I'm going to do the 3,500 repetitions, remember from the previous slide, which is the long-term 10-year period. If I do this for 10 years with a small edge of 4%, and I do 3,500 repetitions, my chances of winning go up to 94 freaking percent. That is a cheat code, but guess what? If you actually want to get to 100%, all you got to do is go 20 years, extreme long term. If you do this for 20 years, which means 7,000 repetitions, well, at that point, you are at 100%. In fact, if you take a look at the stock market, statistically, historically, this thing holds up. I mean, it's actually very, very hard to debate. If you take a look at this chart right here, it shows you statistically, based on the past 100 years, what was your percentage of making money in a single day, clearly a 50-50. In a year, about a 70% chance. In 10 years, about 95% chance. And in 20 years, as you can see, there have never been a 20-year stretch in the stock market where the S&P 500 was in the negative. You will never find it. It never happened. Basically, what this means, if you take a small edge and you add multiple repetitions, you are creating a cheat code to make lots and lots and lots of money. So what do you want to be? Do you want to be the gambler right here and do a 50-50 game? Or you can be the house. You can be the casino, making money with zero work just by sitting there and watching your money make more money. In fact, then you watch the more money you've made make even more money for you, which is kind of a hint about the second cheat code. This is cheat code number one, right? Basically, right? Edge plus repetition equals money. I think at this point, everybody understands this. But Tom, you told us there's going to be a second cheat code. Where's that second cheat code you promised? Have you been lying to us? No. This is the second cheat code. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever seen a snowball roll down the hill? I happen to be born in Russia, so I've seen that happen quite a lot. And in fact, I can tell you that this chart is not even as accurate as the reality. This snowball effect is so insane because when the snowball rolls down the hill, if you've got the right hill, the pace at which the snowball grows and accelerates is exponential. And that's the same principle I'm about to show right now. That's called the snowball effect, and that is cheat code number 2. But Tom, how does the snowball effect from your childhood in Russia has to do with investing? We don't understand. We understand this thing about the edge and repetition, that part is fine. But what is this? Check this out. Okay. Okay. So if the screen will cooperate, hopefully, I can show you. Look, since 1926, I'm doing an impression of grandpa. The S&P 500 gave us 10% per year. I think everybody in their sleep can quote this number, right? So if we know we're getting 10% per year in the S&P 500 by doing nothing, sitting on our ass and watching our money grow, not investing, not stock picking, just sitting in the S&P 500. Well, if you invest $10,000 with a 10% annual return for 20 years, that means that every year you get $1,000 of interest, which means for 20 years you're going to get $20,000, which means that at the end of these 20 years you're going to have $30,000, right? Wrong. 10% over 20 years does not equal 20,000 in this case. It's actually a lot higher. It's actually quite closer to double than this number. I'll show you in a second. Curious? Okay, check this out. So, let me show you a little example, right? If I take $10,000 in year one and I apply a 10% interest on these $10,000, I'm going to be looking at $11,000 at the end of year one. I then take those $11,000 and I apply another 10% for year two. At this point, I'm already at $12,100. My edge right now is little, it's tiny, $100, not a big deal. Who cares, Tom? Wait, this is the snowball effect. It's only getting warmed up. Year three, you're investing your $1,200 and then you're getting $13,300. At this point, start scratching, right? You're about 300 up. Year four, you invest your $1,300, and then you get $14,641. Okay, at this point, you might be doubting yourself or myself, and you might be saying, well, look, Tom, this all makes sense, but you've only made $600 extra over the course of 4 years off of this $10,000. You said this thing is going to double itself. All right, now it seems like it's a slight improvement, but it's nothing huge. Where's this double you promised us? Well, that is because you have never seen a train leave the station, or have you? Okay, so let's talk about it, right? When a train leaves the station, right? In the beginning, this heavy train, it needs a lot of time to start accelerating. So for the first 20 seconds, you can literally walk faster than the train. Then over the next 20 seconds, you can probably run faster than the train, right? At this point, you need to start jogging. Some point, you're going to start sprinting. But once you pass about 45-second mark, this train is gone. You're not going to catch it. It's going to go super fast, and it's going to be accelerating at paces that are exponential. Because once you get going, the initial push becomes a lot easier, right? Don't be fooled by the slow start of what I just showed you. Because as you accelerate, as the train accelerates, as the ball rolling down the hill, the pace of acceleration also accelerates. Let me show you how it looks with actual dollars, okay? So if I invest $10,000 at 10% per year for 20 years, we know it's not going to be $30,000, right? We know that. We established that part. But how much, Tom? Well, do the math. Take any compound calculator on Google, find it on the internet, and when you plug this number, you're going to get $56,000. Not $30,000, $56,000. Almost double. Just by using compound interest. Compound interest plus time equals double your money. So as you just seen, we basically now have 2 consecutive cheat codes which we use one on top of the other. On the one hand, a 4% edge with multiple repetition makes sure we're not going to have losing 10, 20-year periods. On the other hand, with compound interest, we make sure that the pace at which our money is making money accelerates all the time, and at some point accelerates exponentially. So we get lots and lots of money. We get rich by doing nothing and just sitting in the S&P 500. Simple as that. But wait, it gets better. Let me show you. I will admit to the criticism that's about to come out based on what I just said. And certain people are going to say, well, Tom, what about the lost decade of the 2000s? What about the 1970s? What about the 1930s? We had bad decades, right? I said 94% chances of not losing your money on any given decade, right? But I'm the first one to admit that 94% ain't 100%. So there's always a chance you're going to hit this little 6% in which the S&P 500 is not going to be great for this decade. There's always this 6% chance. It's not zero, it is 6%. So you have to acknowledge that. So either you accept that or you eliminate this 6%, because you can easily eliminate it by looking at what I'm about to show you right now. You can get to this 20-year period based on the S&P 500 historical data. There have never been a 20-year period that was negative in the S&P 500. Never. There have been bad decades here and there, but we've never had a bad 20-year stretch. Now, hold on a second. I know 20 years sounds like a lot of time, but trust me on this. I was 20 years old just yesterday. This 20 to 40, that goes by super fast. 40 to 60, I assume goes even faster. So before you sneeze, this 20 year is going to blow by. Don't think like this 20 years is in the impossible distant future, and don't think you need to live like a monk to use the system. I'll show you in a second how you can live to the fullest, enjoy your life, spend money, have fun, and still do this. It's actually quite simple. It's jokingly simple, right? So let's assume that you start investing today for the next 20 years, right? So you put in $10,000, which is a significant amount, but not something that's, incredibly impossible. $10,000 is definitely a possible amount. And then you contribute $1,500 every single month. And you do this like clockwork for the next 20 years. 10,000 initial investment, 1,500 monthly, okay? After 20 years, your investment amount is going to be $370,000. That's what you're going to be ending up investing, contributing, right? But because you're doing this over 20 years at a 10% average interest, you're going to be looking at 1.1 million after 20 years. 1.1 million, 10,000 to 1.1 million with a 730,000 profit. So you just turned 10,000 to 1.1 million with a massive profit by doing nothing, sitting in the S&P 500, watching your money make money. Now, I understand the objection here. A lot of people say, well, Tom, this is just too slow. 20 years is a lot of time. And I get it, but I'm not going to just blow you off by saying this. That's the first thing people will tell you. Oh, Warren Buffett always says, everybody wants to get rich. Nobody's willing to get rich slow. I get it. I'm not going to brush it off. Hold on a second. I'm going to show you how this works, even with having fun, living like normal persons, and doing everything you do today. You don't need to live like a monk. You don't need to aggressively save. Everything is fine. I'll show you in a second. Check this out. So, one of the biggest misconceptions in investing is that you gotta basically go absolutely zero fun. You have to, save everything, save aggressively, and invest everything so that in 20 years, you might start to enjoy your life. If you're in your 30s, it's going to be in your 50s. I mean, it's stupid. It's stupid. No. What you do is basically understand one simple concept, right? Aggressive saving is possible, and maybe some people can live in the hut somewhere in the woods and do this, but I don't think it's a good idea. It's not needed. It's possible, but it's not needed for my system. You can still spend, you can still enjoy, because I believe that extremes are not sustainable and basically are not smart, are quite stupid. Why would you go hardcore extreme where it's not necessary? What's the point of making money if you're not going to be able to enjoy the process? I understand one thing, if it's not fun, I'm not going to do it for long. How do you expect me to do something that's not fun for 20 years? That's unrealistic, that's stupid. Maybe one person can do it, two persons can do it, but it's not a system that's going to work for the majority of y'all. Now, that is why you do this. I'm going to show you the blueprint right now, right? The formula is quite simple. Basically, what you do is you say, well, I'm going to contribute about 10% of my paycheck. That's it. Whether I'm making 50,000 or making 500,000, doesn't matter. I'm contributing to investing 10% of my paycheck. Every time I get paid, 10% goes to the stock market. 90%, I still pay the bills, I still have fun, I travel, I do whatever I want. I'm not going to be going crazy. 10%, that's it. 90% of your money is still there, right? Basically, time and consistency is way more important than the size of your contribution. And I know the jokes about size don't matter in the comments are going to start flying right now, but it really doesn't. It's all about consistency. If you do it with a small paycheck and you do it over the long haul and you stay consistent, you're going to be good. You're going to be fine. There's no need for an outsized contribution for the system to work. What's important is the time, is the 20-year period. You don't need to double your money overnight. That's how people go broke, trying to do this. I want to get rich quick, Tom. I want to enjoy my money. And then I want to be, in a double position in 3 years. That's how you go broke, right? You have to understand that more time equals less chances to lose and more chances to win. Why would you want to decrease your chances to make money? Now, let me show you. Why do 90% of investors actually lose money? Because if it's so simple, and I just showed you how simple this is, right? Why most investors end up losing money? Well, there's a few reasons. Despite the simplicity of the system, despite that it's proven and it's very, very easy to understand, it's not easy to implement. Why? Because people are greedy. By definition, by nature, we all are. We want our money fast, and we want it more and more and more and faster and faster and faster. The system goes against that, which is very, very hard for people to actually utilize. People are impatient. They want everything right now. We hate standing in line. We hate waiting. And this thing is all about waiting, right? It's hard. There's a lot of fear. When the market sells off for a few months, 6, 7, 8 months of a complete sell-off, people panic. They sell out. They get this emotion that, oh my God, maybe this is the end of the market once and for all. And I'm going to salvage what I can. People get euphoric, which is the same thing as fear. Media. People consume mainstream media where they get hyped into buying high and they get panicked into selling low. And of course, the dopamine rush. People love the dopamine rush of buying stock, selling stock. Oh my God, I sold it today. I made my 7% profit. The dopamine is your enemy, folks. If you can eliminate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You're going to be outperforming the market by a milestone. That's why dead people, according to all studies, check out Vanguard, Fidelity, any brokerage, dead people have the best performing portfolios in the stock market because they are not greedy, they're not impatient, they don't have any fear, they don't consume media, and they don't have dopamine. All they do is just sit in the market. That's why they outperform. It's quite simple. Now, there is a way, of course, you can eliminate all of this, right? How do you eliminate fear, greed, impatience, dopamine? Well, you have to do 3 things. You have to educate yourself. You have to surround yourself with people who are like-minded and experienced to prevent you and hold your hand when bad times come, when too good times come, people to ground you, basically. You need education, you need a supportive environment, and you need to put yourself in the autopilot system where this whole thing becomes non-negotiable. Learn the system and just follow it blindly, right? This is exactly what we teach in my ROIC Academy, okay? In the ROIC Academy, over at patreon.com/Tom Nash, I teach these things, and you get access to our Discord where you have that environment. Thousands of people who are going to prevent you from doing stupid shit, okay? This is a comment section from our latest lecture where I broke down for 2 hours my entire DCA system, how to use it, how to budget, basically an A to Z tutorial, how to start DCAing and avoid all mistakes. We've done that lecture. People have basically flooded me with comments about how great this was. This is just an example. Janet here is saying yesterday's lecture was life-changing. Life-changing, right? A lot of good comments, but that's fine. But life-changing, you know how many times I've got that sense? Life-changing? Because people find out, hey, there's a better way to do this. And actually, if you're still doubtful, I'm going to show you. Like, this is just minuscule, minor examples of stuff people post on my Discord. I'll show you. This is from Rick. Rick has been doing this for 20 years, folks, right? Look at the numbers. 1,300%, right? 1,300% in 20 years. Look at what he's writing. He's basically saying this is all about 20 plus years, totaling 1,300%. Magic of what Tom and Buffett, thank you, have been preaching, have been saying. Long-term compounded returns. He did 1,300% 20 years. Just by sitting, right? Look at this thing, right? Esh, just sitting in the S&P 500, no stocks, just sitting in the S&P 500 and not really going full tilt with the DCA. He said, look, I kind of half-assed the DCA system, but I kind of did it. And in 5 years, he doubled his money, right? Look at some stuff that people posted like 2 weeks ago. Hey, just hit a new milestone, passing 50K in stocks since joining Tom's group. My portfolio is getting stronger. 82% over the past year, okay? This guy with Palantir did 550%. I mean, I can give this all day. It's not going to change anything. You guys have to make the first step. I can show you this all day. And obviously, you know, I'm not guaranteeing you that if you join my group, you're going to make 500% or 1,300%, not even 80%. It's up to you. You got to do the work. You got to educate yourself. You've got to work on yourself emotionally, mentally. There is work to be done. There's no guarantees in life. Not even tomorrow is guaranteed. I mean, obviously. But if you want a chance, and if you want a pathway and a system and education and a community to get this done, here you go.